I remember that I said we will be doing the patchwork bracelet. Now, all those canes, I have already posted tutorials on my blog, and I'm going to put the link in cards as well as in the description of the video because I did not want to make this video super long. So, I've got my sheet of scrap clay, and I am going to first kind of measure it to see exactly how much clay I have, and I'm cutting. And the other thing is that remember, all these canes are made to look pretty much like quilt fabric, and I do not want to make it look perfectly straight and ordered. I want it to look a little bit wonky. So I'm not paying a lot of attention to very straight lines and very straight edges. I want it to look kind of like a child's game, if you want. Now, what I didn't do on the canes on the blog was to actually make a cane out of the spirals. So take the smaller reduced spirals, put them all together, the four regular ones and the mixed colors one, and then press them together and cut them at the same length, and then press them so you would make a rectangular cane, reduce it to 4 inches, then cut four 1-inch segments, and then align them and put them together. So you will form a cane made out of these misshapen, squished spirals that again will look pretty much like quilt fabric for patchwork. And you will see all those little patterns. I have actually reduced them to smithereens, but the tutorials on my blog are very detailed, and you shouldn't have problems. Just remember to have all your clay conditioned the same, otherwise you will have one color starting to push out of the cane before the other, and you'll get cane deforming. So what I'm doing now is just cutting slices from the canes and placing them on the scrap piece of clay. I'm just trying not to put two pieces that are the same side by side. That's the only rule. Otherwise, and if you have other small millefiori type canes, you know, like itty bitty flowers, or you can use those as well. So I'm pretty much covering most of that piece of scrap clay, even if I know that it's going to be way longer than the calf bracelet baking support. And then once I finished arranging them. Remember, on the blog says the trimming, that's practically a piece of reddish clay that was the leftover trimmings from the little heart cane that I have mixed together, and then on top I have put some gold foil. Actually, it's all kinds of colors. It's from a bag of gold foil flakes. And after I am flattening this and making it pretty much even, I will be cutting thin strips of that a piece of clay that's covered with gold foil and then with translucent. And I will be placing the strips between the patches. And again, if you want to make this all nice and straight, I mean, it's your choice. I told you, I just want to make it a little wonky. I think it's cuter when it's a little wonky. So just arrange the trimming. Of course, you can make the trimming with something else. Initially, I thought of making a stripes, But then I thought it's already a lot of patterns, so stripes might be just a tad too much. But if you want to put just a plain color, then do so. And I explained on my blog, if you don't have gold foil, how to do that with acrylic paint, metallic acrylic paint. So once I have all those little strips placed between the patches of patterned clay, between the cane slices that I have put there, I am going to again flatten it with the roller until I can feel no unevenness. You will have to rely on your fingers to feel that. I do not advise to go with this through the pasta machine because you will get way too much distortion. I mean, wonky is one thing, horribly distorted is a completely different thing. So once I get all nice and even and I cannot feel any more unevenness in the sheet, then I will place it on the metal bangle. Yes, I am using easy cuffs. If you watched my review that I just posted a couple days ago, you'll see why. So careful when you even it out, try not to distort too much. As I said, just a little bit of wonkiness, not too much. And do that until, don't press too hard either. You don't want that to become too thin. You only want to remove all the differences of level between the patches. And then I will be putting it on the metal bangle. And I will do exactly what you saw me doing during the review that I made for the easy cuffs. Pretty much, yes, I will trim all those ends because they are way too long, but otherwise I don't do any kind of trimming because it's just so easy to work with this. All you need is your roller. Of course, make sure that you don't have any kind of air bubbles between the clay and the bangle. That is very, very important. And then just start using your roller and start to round the edges directly on the metal bangle. And as you are doing this, because of the way the edge of the metal bangle is made, it's not sharp to the point of cutting you, but it's sharp enough that as you're going back and forth with the roller, at one point the edge of the metal bangle will start cutting the clay. So you don't have to worry about trimming or about anything. So I'm first folding the clay and then I will just be going with a roller over the edges to smooth them. You can watch my review. I'm detailing how to do this process. Normally it takes anywhere between 3 and 5 minutes. And once you are happy with it, then you go ahead and you bake it per manufacturer's instructions, depending on what clay you used. So it's all baked. I removed it from the metal bangle and I sanded it a little bit. Actually, not just a little bit. I sanded it up to 1,000, starting with 220, going gradually. Now, what I'm going to do for the backing of it, I'm not going to do any kind of texture and any kind of metallic or any kind of anything. I'm going to just cut slices from those spiral logs, and I'm going to place them on the scrap clay and flatten them a bit, and then place more slices until I pretty much cover almost all the area. And I'm cutting slices from both the normal ones and from the ones that I have reduced. And of course flatten it until the same as you did for the front. I've put liquid clay on the back of the cuff, and now I am placing the backing on it. This time I will be trimming, because even if the edge of the front of the bracelet has a little bit of a sharpness, it's not enough to get rid of all the clay that's a little bit thick. It will be enough once I start using the roller to smooth the edge. Yes, then it will start separating the excess clay, so it will be very easy to remove. And I started with the roller first, and then apparently I lost my faithful little blue paintbrush, so now I'm using just a pencil as a small roller. So it's ready to be baked. But you know what? Let's do a pendant too. So that will be the back of the pendant. I did the same thing as I did for the back of the bracelet, and I am cutting a relatively wonky shape too. And then once I did that, on the front, I am going to make a little bit of a different patchwork, because I'm going to place first a piece of that gold foiled cinnamon reddish clay. Then on the edge I will place more spiral slices, and then I will place in the middle some more slices of the so-called quilt fabric canes, but this time really patched. I mean, I'm not going to even, maybe one or two, or two I'm going to leave squarish. The rest I am going to just cut into, or cut in pieces, and kind of jigsaw puzzle them together. So I'm using the different logs with different colors, until I cover that whole edge. And yes, you will be left with quite a bit of canes, but you can use those canes for other patchwork work. These are nice, and actually I will make in the next tutorial, I will make a tutorial on how to make little gift boxes, because the holidays are coming, so that might be nice to have. And they also make pretty ornaments. So I'm finished with the spiral slices, and now I'm going to slice the quilt fabric canes. I just love that little hearts cane. I think it's just adorable. And the itty bitty flowers also. Even if you cannot really see what's going on unless you go very, very close, but when you go very, very close, you're amazed. You're like, wow, this is so cute. So I am flattening the same as I did for the bracelet, until I feel no more differences in level. And then of course I will cut it again. And then I will place it on a jar to give it a slightly three-dimensional shape. I'm not going to leave it straight, flat. And I think that putting a couple buttons there would look pretty, because we are talking quilting and all that, so I'm going to put two white buttons there. And of course some fake stitching. and I'm ready to go to the oven. So there you go. I put some leather on the bracelet with some heishi beads, and there's a specific type of knot there that allows you to make it larger or smaller. This is how it looks from close up. I told you those little blue flowers are adorable, and so are the little hearts. And this is the pendant. I'm trying to focus as best as I can. And on the pendant, I just put a biting bail and a leather um, string. So there we go. Patchwork made with polymer clay. Happy claying!